She was small, green scales, dull as old copper, wings so withered they could not lift her from the floor. She had laid 5 eggs before she died. None hatched. The last dragon in the world fit inside a stable. Nobody recorded how she died. Nobody recorded who was feeding her. Nobody recorded what went wrong. But somebody was watching. Welcome to Westeros Within, where we journey into forgotten ages, hidden legends, and ancient mysteries. This is Mysteries of the Realm. Episode 5. The Maesters Conspiracy. Did the Citadel kill the dragons? Before we investigate, you need to understand what the Citadel is. It sits in Old Town, the oldest city in Westeros, built on land belonging to House Hightower. Inside its walls, boys arrive with nothing and leave years later wearing chains around their necks. One link for every discipline they have mastered. Silver for healing, iron for warcraft, black iron for ravenry, lead for poisons, and very rarely, one maester in 100, a link of Valyrian steel, for the study of magic. When a maester forges his chain, he gives up his family name, swears celibacy, and takes a vow to serve not any lord, but the castle to which the Citadel assigns him. When a lord falls, the maester stays. He serves the stone, not the man. And here is what that means in practice. A maester sits in every castle in the 7 kingdoms, every one. He reads every lord's letters. He treats every lord's illnesses. He educates every lord's children. He sends and receives every raven that carries every message across the realm. No other institution in Westeros achieves this reach. Not the crown, not the faith, not any great house. Only the gray-robed scholars of the Citadel have an agent in every hall, at every table, behind every door. That much is fact. Now, here is the accusation. It comes from one of their own. Archmaester Marwyn, called the Mage, a man who earned his Valyrian steel link, who spent 8 years studying with wizards and shadowbinders in the East, who returned to the Citadel and lit a glass candle when no one had done so in living memory. He looked Samwell Tarly in the eye and said, "Who do you think killed all the dragons the last time around? Gallant dragon slayers, armed with swords." The world the Citadel is building has no place in it for sorcery or prophecy or glass candles, much less for dragons. A Maester accusing his own order of killing the dragons, not with swords, not in battle, with patience, with proximity, with counsel designed to fail. That is the investigation. Did an order of scholars commit the longest, most patient act of institutional murder in the history of the known world? Start with what they had to gain. Consider what the Maesters are in a world without magic. They are the only literate class in a largely illiterate society. They hold every secret. They shape every heir. They control every raven. They write every history. In a world governed by reason, the Citadel is the most powerful institution in Westeros. Now introduce a dragon. A dragon cannot be reasoned with. A dragon does not need a Maester's counsel. A single dragon rider can burn a castle in an afternoon. Harrenhal proved that. The Targaryens did not conquer Westeros through diplomacy. They conquered it on the backs of creatures that made every Maester's chain irrelevant. In a world with dragons, the Citadel advises. In a world without them, the Citadel decides. That is the motive. Now consider the means. The Maesters study medicine. They study herbs and remedies. They earn a link of lead for the study of poisons. Every lord trusts his maester to prepare his food, mix his tonics, tend his animals, including his dragons. After the Dance of the Dragons, the Targaryen civil war that killed 17 dragons in 2 years, only 4 survived. And within a single generation, under Maester supervision, every one of them was dead or gone. The timeline is damning. For 130 years, dragons thrived. They grew larger with each generation. Balerion, the Black Dread, lived 2 centuries and died the size of a cathedral. Before the dance, no dragon had ever been described as sickly. Not once in the recorded history of Westeros. After the dance, every dragon egg failed. Every hatchling was born stunted. The last dragon, the green female with withered wings, was described in words that had never been used for any dragon before. Small and stunted, with withered wings, no bigger than a cat. What changed? The Maesters were now responsible for their care. And there is one detail that haunts the record. Daenerys Targaryen hatched 3 dragon eggs after a century and a half of failure. Every egg in Westeros, under Maester supervision, had turned to stone. Every ritual, every attempt, every hope had died in the shell. The only eggs that hatched were the ones that left. 3 eggs stolen from Dragonstone in 54 AC by Alyssa Farman, sold in Bravos, carried across the world, far from the Citadel's reach, for 150 years. Many scholars believe these became Daenerys' eggs. The eggs that stayed in Westeros died. The eggs that escaped lived. But the defense is strong, and ignoring it would make us no better than the Maesters themselves. The Dance of the Dragons was not a Maester plot. It was a Targaryen civil war. Brother against sister. Dragon against dragon. 17 dragons died fighting other dragons. No Maester had to lift a finger. And the decline afterward may have natural explanations. George R.R. Martin has confirmed that confinement in the dragon pit stunted dragon growth. The dragon pit was not a Maester invention. Maegor the Cruel built it. The few surviving dragons after the dance were inbred, traumatized, and confined. That alone might explain the decline. Then there are the good Maesters. Maester Aemon served the Night's Watch faithfully for decades. Maester Luwin died defending the Stark children. Maester Cresson tried to poison Melisandre to protect his king. If the Order is a secret conspiracy, why do so many of its members act with genuine devotion? And Marwyn, the man making the accusation, is the only Archmaester who believes in magic. He spent years with Shadowbinders and Warlocks. He taught Miri Mazdur, if you are looking for a paranoid outsider who sees enemies in every shadow, Marwyn fits the description. Magic faded everywhere, not just in Westeros. The Warlocks of Korth lost their power. Shadow magic weakened across Essos. If magic's decline was global, the cause may be cosmic, not institutional. The Maesters may be taking blame for something larger than any conspiracy. And yet, the defense explains the decline. It does not explain the silence. Fire and Blood, the definitive history of the Targaryen dynasty, was written by Archmaester Gildane. It covers the dance in exhaustive detail. Every battle, every betrayal, every dragon that fell. But when it reaches the last 4 dragons, Cannibal, Sheepstealer, Silverwing, Mourning, the record goes quiet. No cause of death for any of them. The largest and most dangerous simply vanish from the page. Mourning, a young, healthy, bonded dragon. The last real hope for the species dies, and the Maester who wrote the history does not even mention how. When an institution controls the historical record, what they leave out tells you more than what they put in, and the silence runs deeper than one missing death. The Citadel was not born in a vacuum. It was built on Hightower land, with Hightower gold, by Hightower princes, and the Hightowers have never let go. Otto Hightower served as Hand of the King. He placed his daughter Alicent in the king's bedchamber. He orchestrated the usurpation of Rhaenyra's claim. He started the Dance of the Dragons, the war that killed nearly every dragon alive. The family that founded the Citadel started the war that destroyed the dragons. And here is what makes it darker. Lord Leighton Hightower has not descended from his tower in over a decade. He and his eldest daughter, called the Mad Maid, are consulting books of spells. The patron of the anti-magic institution, practicing sorcery in the same city where the Maesters have spent centuries stamping magic out. Either the Hightowers lost control of their creation, or the Citadel was never meant to eliminate all magic, only to ensure that no one else had access to it. And then there is the figure in the Citadel that no one expected to find. In the prologue of A Feast for Crows, a young novice named Pate dies after biting a poisoned gold coin, the signature method of the Faceless Men. By the end of the same book, Pate reappears, alive, in the company of Samwell Tarly. But this is not Pate. This is someone wearing Pate's face, and the man who killed him matches the description of Jaqen H'ghar. A faceless man is inside the Citadel, with a stolen key that opens every door, including the vault that holds a book called The Death of Dragons. The Faceless Men were born in the slave mines of Valyria. Their hatred of dragonfire is foundational. Many scholars believe they caused the doom itself, assassinating the mages who controlled the 14 flames until the volcanoes consumed the freehold. If the Faceless Men destroyed Valyria, they are not merely assassins. They are the most successful anti-dragon force in the history of the known world. And now one of them is inside the heart of Westerosi knowledge. At the precise moment, dragons have returned. Are the Faceless Men and the Maesters allies? Enemies? Or two arms of the same war, fighting the same enemy with different weapons? George R.R. Martin has never confirmed the conspiracy. He has never denied it either. But he has told us three things that matter. First, he designed the Maester Historian Framework specifically to, in his words, obscure things he wanted to obscure. The histories are not neutral. They were built to hide. Second, he has confirmed that Septon Barth, the one scholar who understood dragon magic, whose works the Citadel ordered burned, got much of it right. The historian the Maesters suppressed was the one telling the truth. Third, he has released preview chapters from The Winds of Winter for nearly every major character. Except one. Sam's Citadel chapters remain completely hidden. Whatever Sam discovers inside the Citadel, Martin is keeping it under lock and key. The author is hiding the same thing the Maesters are hiding. But here is where the investigation turns. Because if the Maesters did kill the dragons, if they spent centuries dismantling magic, poisoning hatchlings, and burying knowledge, they may not have been wrong to try. Consider what magic actually costs in this world. Blood magic requires death. Only death pays for life. Valyria, the greatest magical civilization in history, was built on the backs of millions of slaves, their lives fed to the 14 flames. Dragons are not noble creatures. They are weapons of mass destruction. Harrenhal melted in a single afternoon. Aegon did not conquer through diplomacy. He conquered through fire. Warging is the invasion of another creature's mind. Bran enters Hodor's consciousness and steals his body. The Wall, the greatest magical structure in Westeros, was raised with blood and lives beyond counting. The Maesters looked at this, the slavery, the sacrifice, the fire, and they may have decided, not with malice, but with conviction, that humanity was better off without it. A world without dragons is a world without weapons of mass destruction. A world without blood magic is a world without child sacrifice. A world without prophecy is a world where people make their own choices. The Maesters may have been building the safest world they could imagine, and they may have doomed it, because the others are coming. The long night may return, and by systematically destroying every magical defense, the dragons, the prophecies, the glass candle network, the knowledge of how to fight what lives beyond the wall, the Maesters have left Westeros naked against the one threat that cannot be fought with steel and reason alone. They saved the world from magic, and in doing so, they may have condemned it to ice. So what do I believe? I believe the Maesters did not gather in a dark room and vote to murder the dragons. I do not think there was a single order, a single poison, a single moment. That is not how institutional evil works. I believe it was quieter than that. A Grand Maester who chose not to try very hard when a hatchling fell ill. A chain of command that placed the right men in the right castles at the right time. A history written to forget what should have been remembered. A book locked in a vault instead of shared with the world. Not a conspiracy of villains, a conspiracy of policy. 1,000 small decisions made by mostly decent men across generations, each one reasonable on its own, devastating in the aggregate. They are not monsters. They are the most dangerous thing in any world. An institution that believes it knows what is best. And they may be right. Magic is horrifying. Dragons are fire-made flesh. The cost of sorcery is always blood. But the long night does not care what the Citadel believes. And when the dead come, scrolls will not stop them. The Maesters forged a chain around the neck of the world, and the world may choke on it. So tell me this. What killed the dragons? The Maesters? The Targaryens? Or the price of magic itself? Write it in the comments. I read every theory. And if you want to be here when we unravel the next mystery, subscribe to Westeros Within and join me for the next chapter.